Happy Monday, everyone. Here I am again. This is my second Facebook Live for the day as I accidentally deleted my one that I did at 1 o'clock. So, if any of you watched me earlier, I hope you find the second round just as exciting as the first. Here's hoping. Today, I am going to be talking about the very important fact that everyone can learn to paint. It is not just about talent. Uh, Painting, you have to learn the theory of fine art. There are 5 very important rules of fine art. One is composition. You have to know where to place your trees, your mountains, your shapes, etc. Where things go is what's going to determine whether your viewer is interested in your painting or not. So you really want to get their eyes to be drawn in. You want to really keep their attention. You want to have their eye leading to a focal point. There are many, many little nuances of composition, and I'm planning on doing a 10-minute art tip live on composition alone. There's so much to be thought about and discussed. It's really, really important that you consider that before you start painting. Rule number 2 is your line. You have to think about where your lines go, what directions they go in, and whether you have hard lines or soft lines. It's really important that you have proper lines and know where you want them. You don't want to be wussy and kind of like vague about where something is. You can't be indecisive. You have to really be definitive about lines and which type of line you want. Do you want it hard, soft, in between? You don't want to be wussy. You don't want to be, in between. So give that some serious thought. You also have to think about shapes, and you want to have a good number of negative shapes as well as positive shapes. Negative shapes are all the space around things, and the space around things are just as important as the actual item that you're painting. You need to have a variety of shapes. You don't want them all to be squares or triangles. You want to have your tree branches to be all different lengths. You don't want them all even, and you want some of them to be thicker and some of them to be thinner. You don't want 2 mountain peaks that are exactly the same. You want to vary your shapes. That will give interest to your painting. You also have to have good value in your painting. Value is if you consider your painting without color, and consider it like a black and white photograph on the gray scale. You need to really have good lights, good middle tones, and good darks. If you think of a black and white photograph that only had darks, it wouldn't read very well. It has to have the variety of those 3 things. You want them to have good dark against light at all times is super important in a good painting. And last but not least is color. Color you have to give a lot of thought to. Is it going to be primarily a warm painting or primarily a cool painting? If you're doing an ocean scene, it's probably going to be more cools. If you're doing an autumn scene, it's going to be more warm colors. But no matter how warm colors you use, you have to have some cools in there. Make sure if you're doing like some beautiful yellow larch trees, you have to have some lovely blue sky behind it. It has to complement the colors. You have to have complementary colors. You can't just do a full painting in warm shades or it won't read right. And this is scientific. This is how the human brain interprets beauty. All of the great paintings and masterpieces in the world have these 5 rules of fine art in them. It doesn't matter whether you're looking at the Sistine Chapel from Michelangelo or whether you're looking at abstract impressionist Jackson Pollock, where he was throwing paint on the canvas, literally hucking paint, house paint. He had those 5 rules are all in those paintings. So let's talk about the Sistine Chapel for a minute. I had the privilege of seeing that masterpiece with my own eyes, and I had studied it for years in books, and nothing had prepared me for what I would actually see when I saw it in real life. For one thing, it is mammoth, it's huge, and this is where the talent thing kind of comes in, because I could not fathom how somebody could be that talented to do something so extraordinary. But when I came home and I started studying it some more, I also learned that the Sistine Chapel was not even a flat surface. It was not a flat roof. It was actually convex. I think it was convex. So when he did the perspective on, let's say, Adam and God with their fingers touching, he had to take proportions and perspective into account. And he also had to take into account the fact that the viewer would be very, very far away, and that they would be standing with their necks cranked and looking straight up at the ceiling. It wouldn't be like looking at a painting on a wall. So he had to do mathematics, because he was going to be up on some scaffolding painting like just a couple feet away from this gigantic hand of God, and the viewers would be a long, long, long ways away. And I can't even remember the feet from the where you're standing to the height of the ceiling. It's extraordinary. So it is all math. It is all composition, line, value, how the viewer is going to be seeing it had to all be considered prior to him ever picking up the paintbrush. So yes, he was a genius. He had talent, but he had also spent years dedicating his life to learning the skills and how to handle his paint medium, which is totally different than oil painting. It was egg tempera, I believe, is what he used for the Sistine Chapel. Totally different. And then, as I said, you think about Jackson Pollock in comparison to Michelangelo. They're worlds apart, and yet Jackson Pollock did canvases that were probably the size of my studio wall. And he would stand in front of that blank canvas for days on end before ever touching his paint, and he would plan it out in his head. And when he came to working on that canvas, he would take tins of house paint and he would actually throw it on the canvas here, there, and everywhere. Just check it all over the place. And it looks like it's one of those abstracts that, oh, anybody could do that. But the more abstract it is, actually, the harder it is, even though it doesn't always look that way. So his abstract paintings of blobs of paint spilt all over canvas has a definite composition. There's value, there's line, there's shape, and there is color. All those great things make his paintings masterpieces. And it doesn't matter what art you're looking at, whether you're looking at Monet, Michelangelo, any of it. It is all theory. So in order for you to be a good painter, you need to learn how to handle your paints. It doesn't matter if you're an oil painter or a watercolorist. Good control over your colors, your paints, all those things, super important. How you hold your brush and how you lay it on the canvas is incredibly important. And then when you understand these 5 rules of art, you're almost there. Yes, practice, practice, practice. Super important. And then once you get all of that under your belt and you understand those things, then your talent can become part of your painting. That's when you can really, really fly. And so keep that in mind, that until you get a grasp on all those things, you'll succeed once you understand the theory of art. It's that easy. It's a learned skill. and anybody can learn it. So what else did I want to mention to you today? I am doing an art lecture coming up November 27th. I'm going to be discussing how to paint rocks, but I will also be talking more in depth about these rules of fine art, and I will be doing a demonstration. So if you'd like to see how I hold my brush, how I do some of these things, I hope you will take a moment, check out the website. I've got the link under the video here. And if you have any questions at all, please do leave a comment under this video and I will answer any of your questions, concerns, comments, thoughts. What is your opinion? Do you think art is something that can be learned, or is it all talent in your opinion? It is. I think everyone can learn to paint. I think it's mostly theory. Honestly, I've had a lot of students, I've had a lot of mentors, I've studied a lot of books, and I'm telling you, the majority of it is all learned. So if you really want to paint, you can do it. And I'm here to help you do that. So any questions you have, put it in a comment. And I do hope you've been enjoying these 10-minute Monday art tips, because I sure have been enjoying doing it, even though this is my second round for today. Hope it's all good. All right, I will see you guys next Monday for my next session. And I think I will be talking a bit more about these 5 rules of art. I'll get more specific into each of them. So stay tuned for that, and I will catch you then. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.